Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Dylan Johnson from Soccer Mag, and welcome to the first episode of Mixing with the DJs. I'm joined by my fellow DJ Dylan Jack, and today we will be talking about the Premier League. We'll be doing a review from the weekend, mostly discussing the bigger games. So we'll be taking a focus on Manchester United versus Fulham, Liverpool versus Ipswich, Chelsea versus Man City, and Arsenal versus Wolves. Without further ado, going straight into it, Dill's a Manchester United fan, so we'll get his first thoughts on Manchester United versus Fulham. What were your key takeaways from the first game of the Premier League season?
Oh, compared to last season, jeepers, I loved it. I absolutely loved this game. I mean, looking back on, it was like chalk and cheese. Structurally, it was, Manchester United actually played with a structure like, wow. It was incredible. The way that United formed sort of back three, and then used their wing backs quite nicely to invert it to midfield. I thought it was quite nice. The new signing slotted in very well. Obviously, Joshua Zirkzee coming off the bench, getting that nice little touch for his goal. And I thought Mazraoui could be the bargain buy of the season. I mean, this guy must have had 3 training sessions with United. He signed for the club last week. And he looked like he had been there for a decade. He was just so calm with everything he was doing. And I mean, if you look at the way that Fulham completely slapped Manchester United up last season and the comparisons to this season, I mean, it's so different. It's so refreshing to see a Manchester United team actually playing with a plan and not just playing basketball. It was just, I really, really enjoyed. There's obviously things to work on, but it looks good. The plan actually looks like it's there for this season.
No, I agree with everything you said. I think last season, United completely characterized by, you said, that basketball where it was the midfield was nowhere. It was the attackers, nothing, and the centre-backs, basically. And I think United this season, having watched some of the pre-season games, the structure is so clearly there now. And the personnel is still a lot to improve. De Ligt didn't start. Højlund's injured. Lenny Yora's injured. It's actually a bit scary from opposition. I mean, United fans have hope every season where they say we're going to end top 4, we're going to end top 4. Gary Neville gives his predictions. But I think this year, it looks like I'm a lot more wary of United now than usual.
Yeah, I'm not saying 21 is coming or anything just yet, but it does look like top 4 is on the way. I mean, it looks, as I say, much, much better. As you say, you've got Højlund coming back and he'll add a lot of goals. You've got Zirkzee, who doesn't necessarily guarantee you 20 goals, but he'll chip in with sort of 10 goals and a few assists in there as well. We saw during that little cameo that he had, that he likes dropping into midfield, he likes mixing it a little bit, that he does like picking up assists and sending the likes of Rashford and Garnacho on the run. So I think there's actually something there to get excited about for Manchester United fans for the first time in a long time, because jeepers, the past 2 seasons have been some of the most depressing to be a Manchester United fan.
It's been incredibly exciting for me.
I know. For Liverpool fans, you guys have just had a good couple of seasons to just laugh at us, and we've had to take it, I mean, going from the chaos with the Glazers and the Ralph Ragnicks and, the way Ollie's tenure ended. And it's just the off-field planning just hasn't been there. Now that there's an actual structure there, with the takeover from Ineos and Jim Ratcliffe, it seems like there's an actual exciting...
There's method actually going on behind.
Method. It's not just trying to keep the fans quiet or trying to get commercial boxes ticked. It's actually, let's get the best way to get and the funny thing is that the best way to make a commercial success of your football club is to make it successful on the field.
Exactly.
Everyone's going to buy tickets. Everyone's going to buy merchandise. If you are one of the more successful teams, everyone's going to buy into it. So it's awesome.
And I think another interesting aspect is how now tactically there's some versatility with the players you've signed. Mazraoui can play both sides. Like you said, he was inverting. Zirkzee can drop deep, can maybe even go onto the wing a little bit. Højlund's a different type of striker. And also with the fact that Garnacho's on the bench, I was actually having a discussion with a Man United sporting friend on the weekend, and just how Rashford actually needs to be seriously careful with how Garnacho's been playing. And Ahmad played really well. I think he's really coming into his own. That right wing position, I think, is his. I think Anthony and Sancho, I'm not sure what's happening with them, but Ahmad's clear for me.
Yeah, he is. I mean, we've waited for Ahmad to break through for a while. He's had a couple of loan spells, had a really good loan at Sunderland, started coming through last season. We saw the FA Cup impact he had there. Still love it. And now he's just really owning it on that right wing, which is refreshing to see. I mean, and I think that's where I think Garnacho, I'd still like to see him as a more of an impact player. I like him as an impact player. I just think Rashford at the moment has a bit of a more well-rounded edge to his game. Okay. Whereas I think Garnacho, sometimes his decision-making lets him down, and he is still young. I love him coming on in those last sort of 20 minutes and just bursting with pace and testing the back line against tired legs. So, it's good.
Yeah. So next up, this game also, I think I can talk at length about it. Liverpool versus Ipswich.
Yeah.
And just a couple takeaways from me is that first 45, completely forgettable.
Yeah.
I think Ipswich were naturally their first 45 in the Premier League in over 20 years at home. I mean, I think Wes Greaves put in like a complete cruncher on Szoboszlai in the first minute.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is going to be a hectic game. But I think, you can't really complain. It ticked all the boxes. Second half came out, made changes. The changes worked.
Yeah.
Quansah off for Konate, which I think Quansah was struggling a bit. And I think Konate just more of a physical threat, and Ipswich really were, they were playing promoted team football.
Exactly.
So, and second half, can't complain. Trent, Salah, Jota, all of them played really well.
Yeah.
And the experiment of Gravenberch in midfield, I'm happy with it so far. I mean, Ipswich not really a serious indicator. But honestly, from my side, I think it was a pretty vanilla game.
Yeah.
And that everything you expected to happen happened. And maybe it was started off a little slow, but there's honestly nothing really, no key takeaways, but also no key worries.
Yeah. I think we'll get a better idea of what Arne Slot is. Obviously, it was against Ipswich, and Ipswich are always going to try and make it as difficult as possible. And, I mean, we'll probably get a better idea of what Liverpool are trying to do under Arne Slot as the season goes on. There'll be much tougher games. Obviously, you've got the big derby coming up quite soon in the season.
I think it's like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, it's in a couple of weeks, so that's going to be interesting there. But, I mean, it was just a typical performance that you'd expect from a Jurgen Klopp Liverpool, I thought.
I think it's difficult to speak too much about this game because, Ipswich could have gone 1-0 ahead early through Amari Hutchinson, but I don't know. It's everyone. If it was a 0-0, we could probably speak for hours, but the result is exactly as we expected. So, I don't know. I don't really have any other things to wear besides begging Liverpool to maybe sign players just to get the dopamine, just get those dopamine hits.
I'm so happy that you didn't get Zubimendi, because that would have transformed Liverpool's midfield. So, I'm quite happy with the way that Liverpool's transfer window has gone so far, because that means they're getting weaker and we're getting stronger.
No, I think genuinely, first week too early to tell, but the gap between United and Liverpool now, I think, being objective, Liverpool squad is still better.
Yeah.
But United are certainly on the up.
Yeah.
And it's a bit nerve-wracking. So I don't necessarily think signings will solve that for Liverpool.
No.
But I think it just depends how the players evolve to the system. I'm interested to see how Nunez plays in the system. I'm interested to see how Gakpo plays. They both really haven't been given minutes at all. And I think I'm liking the way Trent is playing. I'm liking the way Mo is playing. I'm liking the way McAllister, Szoboszlai. It just, positive. I think there's a lot of positives to take from it.
Yeah.
So, should we move on to the next game?
Yeah.
So after that, third, probably the biggest game on paper this weekend for sure. Chelsea versus Manchester City.
Yeah.
Do you have any initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, 150 charges against 150 players. That's what it was. But I mean, City didn't really have to get out of third gear. They were under pressure a little bit in that first half. I thought that Chelsea, despite all the chaos that's surrounding that club at the moment, and we can speak at length about that, it's just, I thought they actually carved some good opportunities.
Definitely.
I thought Jackson remains a complete enigma of a striker. He seemingly seems to create these wonderful chances, and gets the ball put on a plate for him, and he doesn't get.
I mean, I think it was the Ederson save.
Yeah,
where it was like this distance away.
Yes,
straight at Ederson.
Yeah.
But it's like he gets in the position to do it, but
he just doesn't seem to always be able to get it in the goal. But I thought that it was. So they were weirdly. I think as much chaos as there is going on at Chelsea, they still, obviously with 47 players or whatnot in their squad, they have talent there that if it does click, then they can push for a top four. But we've already, with what's come out with Raheem Sterling being left out of the squad, the cracks are already starting to appear.
His representatives dropped that at the perfect time. Literally just before the game. But I mean, naturally, like you said, 47 players. They've signed Sterling for big money. They've signed lots of players for big money. But it's like managers struggle to have squads of 26 picking players. I mean, over 40. But I also think that Chelsea have gotten a lot of criticism, but ultimately no one expected them to beat City.
No.
I mean, if they'd come away 1-0 losers, maybe it's a bit better. But realistically, Man City are the best team in the league. Anyone who plays against them is going to lose. Maybe not Arsenal. But I think it was kind of a lose-lose for them. It's the worst game of the season, although it's at home. Still, they're a complete mess. They didn't have a great preseason at all.
No, they didn't.
And off-the-field drama, making Enzo Fernandez captain after that whole debacle. I don't really, I think there's still a lot of work to be done there.
There is, I think they could. I mean, if they don't get things right, and if Mosquera, the coach, if he starts to struggle and he starts to struggle with his player management, then I don't know how long he's going to last, because I mean, Chelsea aren't scared of sacking managers.
If they maybe get one win in their first 5 games, I think he's in trouble. I don't think, even though it's counterintuitive now for Chelsea to not give a manager time, I think they're so trigger happy.
They are.
That the next young shiny thing will come along. There'll be a 28-year-old manager in some league that's super. Looks really nice, and then they'll get him instead. I don't know. Or maybe they'll bring Tuchel back, and that'll be funny.
That would
just go back to square one.
And the circle goes round and round and round. But in terms of City, I thought it was, again, straightforward for them. Haaland, inevitable, getting the opening goal. I didn't think there's too much to speak about from a City side, because they didn't really need to push themselves to win this game. They had a couple. They had a couple of saves that they needed to make there. As I said, towards the end of the first half, they were under pressure. But I mean, it was relatively a straightforward 2-0 win for them.
I think the one thing about City, I'm interested in those if they do improve their squad. Now that Alvarez is gone. Haaland had injury problems last season. What do they do? What do they do if Haaland gets injured now? They can't rely on KDB. His fitness is, he's too unreliable now, as good as he is. I don't know. I know Savinho was decent in Girona with end product last year, but I don't see him as being a goal-scoring threat.
No. I did, from what I saw from him in this game, he looked bright in patches, but he didn't look like a guy that's going to threaten throughout the season, add like 10 or so goals, And obviously they had high hopes, I think, for that Oscar Bob.
But now he's out for a while.
Now injured. So.
I think they said December, or it's a fractured leg or something. So December earliest return. I don't know. They're going to have to buy a striker. I think
they are going to have to dip into the market quite heavily. I think this is the thing, is that once the window closes and everything settles, after the first sort of 4 weeks of the Premier League, then you could sort of get a better idea of who's going to really be pushing this season, who's going to be pushing to break that Arsenal and City that has dominated the past couple of seasons, I think.
And moving on to then, we can move on to Arsenal's game. What were your thoughts on the Arsenal game? I thought it was pretty similar to Liverpool Ipswich in that pretty much exactly what you would expect to happen happened.
Exactly. Bukayo Saka just took Arsenal on their shoulders, dragged them forward. It was a little bit tough at times, but scored a wonderful goal, set up Havertz with a lovely cross. So I think it was, again, very straightforward for Arsenal getting that. They weren't. I think Raya had to make one good save in that game, and other than that, he was relatively untroubled. So straightforward for them.
I think Wolves didn't really do anything. It was probably one of the easiest wins Arsenal will get this season at home. Barely, like similar to City, barely got out of third gear. And didn't need to do more than they did. I don't think they were barely tested. And An interesting thing I was thinking about was the incident with, I can't remember the Wolves guy's name, but when he choked Havertz.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And I think this is just going off topic, but the red card at Southampton with Newcastle versus something like that.
Yeah.
That's something I think that's going to frustrate people with lack of consistency. If that Shaw headbutts a straight red, I think that, hand on the neck. Like Casemiro, I think even last season already, there were like 3 or 4 instances of touching the neck where
he got a red
it was
card.
A touch, red card, or like you could grab and nothing. I don't know.
And Premier League referees are known for their consistency, aren't they? But it was... I think that it was, it's a red card. I think Casemiro got sent off last season for, I think it was Will Hughes. He grabbed Will Hughes around the collar. It wasn't really around the neck, and he was just trying to calm Will Hughes down and sort of move him away from a fracas that Anthony had started. And then, obviously, he got the red card for that. So, the referees already starting with a bit of inconsistency there, and frustratingly so. I mean, for some Premier League fantasy managers who would have had Eze in their team scoring a wonderful free kick, like, I had Eze in my team, and then seeing it ruled out for a foul that was barely a foul. So already the inconsistencies are starting.
They're consistently inconsistent.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any other points to add?
No, I just think, again, it's opening weekend. We've obviously seen teams ease to wins, and it's going to be more interesting as the season goes on. I see United have tougher games coming up, and that's where we'll really see whether the structural changes, the bringing in of Ruud van Nistelrooy and as an assistant coach, has this worked? Is it down to sort of player changes? Is it down to getting Mount fit? And because I actually think
Mount played well.
Mason Mount defensively, I thought he was a monster. He was almost like Park Ji-sung in that midfield, sprinting.
And also, I think his movements off the ball and getting to attacking positions is what we expected to see from him last season. But clearly, he was just struggling with fitness the entire time. But if he can stay fit, I mean, the way he moves, gets into the box in dangerous areas, could be a serious athlete. Because I think goals from midfield. So United have lacked a lot besides the legs that he brings, but sharing the goal burden.
With Bruno,
apart from Bruno,
I think so.
Sweet. Well, thanks, Dil. I think that's pretty much everything we've covered. Thanks for watching the first episode of Mixing It with the DJs. Stay tuned. We will be doing 2 episodes a week from now on. I'll say the whole Premier League season, but things happen. But that's the plan. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And if you have anything you'd like to contribute, let us know in the comments.